For city dwellers, open defecation is not a new sight, be it on the railway tracks or in open areas outside slums. But city folk have come to ignore these sights. With an aim to create awareness about open defecation, Hindustan Unilever has come up with one such innovative idea to sensitize people to the problem. Domax recently installed a see-through toilet at a suburban mall in Mumbai for people to experience what it feels like to defecate in the open. Made entirely out of one-way glass, no one can see you in there. But when you are inside, it looks like one is sitting in a clear glass box, experiencing the embarrassment that millions of Indians feel every day when defecating in the open.
First, it was quite embarrassing because you feel that everyone is looking at you, but then it's needed that, we have more and more toilets around, and people actually, we have to make them aware to use all this.
It's basically very sad to know that, there are still villages in India which basically don't have access to proper sanitation, proper toilets. We should really take a step forward and, support these kind of initiatives because the change begins at home.
While the initiative has definitely had an impact on people who experience the feeling of open defecation, there's also hope that things will change. The Government of India plans to ensure every home in India has a toilet by 2019, an ambitious plan, yet something that we all hope to achieve. To talk about HUL's multiple initiatives in the drinking water, sanitation and hygiene space, I caught up with HUL Sajiv Mehta for an insightful discussion.
Hi Mr. Mehta, thank you for talking to us.
Absolute pleasure.
So when HUL has been at the forefront of sustainable living, and ever since Unilever's sustainability living plan came up in 2010, just your thoughts on how the plan and just the work that's been happening in that space.
Yeah, Unilever, if you go back to HUL's ethos, we have been engaging with the society since the time the company was formed. Yeah, but in 2010, when we made the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, we took on ourselves some very audacious goals, globally and locally. And the three key thrust areas were, how do we help improve the health and hygiene of nearly 1 billion people globally? How do we reduce our environment footprints while we double our business? And how do we source the agriculture produce that we use in our manufacturing from sustainable sources, and also in the process enhance livelihoods. So those were the three big pillars. Now, one of the key things about HUL is that we do not have a CSR department in the company. Okay. Yeah, the initiatives that we do are integrated into the very fabric of our business.
Okay.
Yeah. Our brand managers, when they sit on innovation, they always ask themselves, how can I improve my societal impact and how can I reduce my environmental impact? Yeah. So in many ways, what Unilever and HUL have been doing is creating a business model, a new business model, where you don't impose CSR, but integrate it into the business, and it becomes a way of life.
So is this something that you kind of embed into the employees also, so that in every...
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a huge amount of pride with which what we do. And, I go and speak to a lot of students, and because we are very keen to retain our employer of choice status in the country. And whenever I engage with the youth of the country, I think the maximum amount of questions I get are on a sustainable living plan. Because one has to accept that the new generation, the millennials, I think they have a better sense of purpose than people in my generation did when we were of that age.
True.
So they are very conscious, and the society is today very conscious of the role that big business plays.
So coming down to one of the key areas for HUL, which is the wash sector, so the availability of drinking water, sanitation and hygiene. Right. Just your thoughts of some of the challenges that are specific to this sector, and how is HUL addressing these?
Yeah. Now, wash is a very big area. Yeah. If you look at water, we have seen what happened this summer. The stress on water in Marathwada, Latur, yeah. And if we do not do a better job of water management in the country, I think the water per capita will drop by nearly 25% over the next 15 to 20 years. Yeah, that's the severity of the crisis. As far as sanitation and hygiene is concerned, again, we are very conscious about it. You know, this is a country where I think the maximum number of people who practice open defecation come from India.
Yes.
We're talking about 600 million
We
people.
unfortunately have that
Yeah, it's
title,
sad but true.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you look at the simple act of hand washing, and you would be surprised, while the penetration of soaps is ubiquitous, everywhere, the habit of washing hands with soap after going to the loo, for instance, in many places is in single digit. Because people come from a belief that visible clean hands is clean. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a big area. Yeah, potable drinking water, sanitation, hygiene. So for us, we have picked wash as an area because, again, you look at it from a perspective, if there is no water, our business will be seriously hampered. Yes. Be it washing clothes, be it washing stresses, be it taking a shower, making a great cup of tea, a superb coffee, all that will get impacted. So water is core to our business. Yeah. The other is, it is not just about selling soaps. Our role is to improve the plight of the people in our country. You know, we come from a very clear vision that we have to make people feel good, look good, and get more out of life. Yeah, so it's not just about selling soaps, it is about inculcating the right habits. If you go back to the history of Pureit, it stemmed from how do we bring in technology which will enable people to get bacteria-free water in an environment where there is no electricity or no running water. That's the genesis of Pureit.
So do you feel that, like this example of Pureit, do you think that technology in this age of digitization, technology would really help improve or bring about progress in the wash sector specifically?
I certainly believe. I think technology is something which is going to impact even much more all facets of life. Yeah. Be it Internet of Things.
Yes.
Yeah. On a simple way, geotagging of initiatives. Yeah. And when you bring in artificial intelligence, if you bring in material sciences, all this is going to have a profound impact. In our country, besides technology, I think one of the core things we have to understand is we need to change human behavior.
Yeah.
That's at the core of what we do as a marketing company.
Is that where the Swachh Aadat, Swachh Bharat initiative stems from?
Absolutely. You know, as a marketing company, we are adept at changing people behavior. We have created several categories in the country. Yeah. There were days when people used to wash their clothes only with a bar of soap. Yeah. We cultivated the habit of using powders. Or people used to wash their hair with soaps, normal bathing bar. We brought in the habit of using shampoos, for instance. So that is something which we are very adept at, which we call as market development. So we have brought in the same science of marketing to changing the behavior. Infrastructure is important, but that's not the only thing we need to do.
Exactly.
Because constructing toilets, and if people don't use the toilets, it's not going to help our purpose.
Exactly, they shouldn't be used as storerooms.
Absolutely. And that's where Swachh Aadat, leading to Swachh Bharat, plays a part.
Tying up with the government's mission also, the Swachh Bharat mission, is it adding on to that as well?
Absolutely. And the whole intention was that, you know, first we have to accept that Honorable Prime Minister's initiative of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is not something which anyone can do alone. Neither the government, nor the private sector, nor the civil society. I think all of us have to come together to make a difference.
I wanted to talk to you about this other initiative of yours, which is the Haath Muh Bum, which has been quite interesting, and it's been received very positively by people. So, like that, if you could talk a little bit about that initiative and maybe other initiatives of HUL that are working in these areas.
Sure. Again, communication plays a big part in
Yes.
changing human behavior. All of us are aware of that. And then we put some of our very smart marketeers on the job and said, okay, if we have to change some critical habits, and how do we use our strength in marketing and communication to start changing those habits?
Right.
That's the genesis of Hath Muh Bam, Bimari Hogi Kam. It stems from the changing the habit of people. Hath is basically cleaning your hands with soap 5 times a day. Yeah. Muh is all about drinking clean water. And Bam is all about getting away from the habit of open defecation and using a clean toilet.
Right.
Yeah. So very pleased with Hath Muh Bam campaign. It reached 75 million people on the traditional media, about 25 million people on the digital media, with a very catchy jingle. And I've seen so many kids talk about Hath Muh Bam and sing in that way. And I think this has in many ways sown the habit that this critical thing, which are so vital for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, has taken roots thanks to the campaign that we led. So that's one part of it.
Right.
Now, what we are doing is not just doing a mass market campaign. We are supplementing it with on-the-ground activities. And on-the-ground activities are happening not just in the rural areas, which we were doing earlier, but also in the urban areas.
Right.
We picked up the slums. If you pick up a city like Delhi or Mumbai, you have anywhere between 30 to 40% of a population living in slums.
Yes, sir.
And the focus has to be big on slums, because that's where you need to make a big difference. So then we had on-the-ground activities in the slum areas, in the schools, is with the mothers, with the adults, with the communities, and we reached over 2 lakh people, taking our campaign over there and educating them. Now this is supplementing the initiative that we have on the hand wash campaign, where we have already reached 65 million people across the country.
Right.
So that's on a massive scale. Then as far as the Domex Toilet Academy is concerned, where 30,000 toilets have been built, we've reached nearly 160,000 people, but more importantly is the awareness. And then when it comes to water, we have been working in over 5,000 villages together with different NGOs, and more importantly, bringing in thought leadership and making a system whereby making the community own the water agenda in the villages.
Right. Okay.
Both from a demand side and supply side.
One concern is always that, okay, the start is amazing, it's a positive start,
Yeah.
people have accepted it.
That's right.
But over time, over a month, 2 months, they go back to their old habits.
You're absolutely right.
So how is it, in your experience, ensuring that, yes, you've started correctly, and afterwards also help to keep the momentum going?
First thing what we do is, we bring in the same rigor and same analytics which we have on the business to our initiatives on the wash side.
Right.
Yeah, that's very important. So we do a dipstick check pre and post to see whether the habits are changing or not, whether messages are going or not. And for instance, a hand wash campaign, it's not that we go to a village, teach them what hand wash and why it is to be done, and then we run away. In most of the places, we again visit them.
Yes,
that's how habit is formed.
And in that interaction that you're having with both rural areas as well as smaller towns and even bigger urban areas, what's the sense that you're getting from people about the impact of these initiatives? What's the difference?
For instance, we found when we did this big campaign which we are having in the state of Bihar, and we were able to find out that the incidence of hand washing went up by nearly 16%. So that was very satisfying. You can't move from 1 to 100. And I don't believe that Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is a program which will run only for a year or two. In a country like India, it will be a multi-year program, yeah, run cohesively. Only then will we be able to make a difference.
In places where they don't have enough water, where there's scarcity, and they would be like, पीने को तो पानी नहीं है, हाथ धोने के लिए, घर साफ रखने के लिए क्यों पड़े उसमें, पहले तो पीने के लिए पानी. So this sense of the scarcity of water, this water conservation is something being done on that space.
A few years back, we set up a foundation with an exclusive thrust on water conservation, both on the demand side and supply side. Yeah. So, like I said, we are working in nearly over 5,000 villages in about 13 states in the country, and we are helping people. 80% of the water in the country is used for agriculture.
Yes.
So we are bringing in better water management practices. Then we are helping in better management of canals, of wells, and very importantly, we are bringing in practice of community ownership of water. I think that's so critical in the country.
Yes.
And if you look at, if we can make water management or democratize water management practices in the country, where people own the water as resources for common good, then you will see a significant difference. You know, today, when water is aplenty, we can adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah, brush करने जाएंगे आप, नल का खुला रहेगा. Yeah, you won't be worried about water at all. Lekin when there is this sense of ownership, and again we are using that same principle of behavior change. Just like we need behavior change for hand washing, similarly we need behavior change for bringing water for common good across the communities. And we have been able to conserve in the last few years 200 billion liters of water. That's the water potential created.
Coming back to wash, now there's this quite an innovative concept that you guys do, which is the see-through toilet. And I believe it was kept in Mumbai recently at a suburban mall as well. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that idea come from, and what was the reaction?
That's a very simple but profound idea. And you know, we want people to realize what it is to defecate in the open. Yeah, is we know that girl children, they don't go to schools. One of the primary reasons is when there is no toilet in the school. Yeah, and just think of it, how difficult, how embarrassing it would be for girls, for women, to live in an environment where there are no toilets. To make people realize how embarrassing it is, we have this toilet constructed where it's a glass, but it's a one-way. So the guy sitting inside can see everything happening around him, but the guys outside, we don't want to literally embarrass him. So, but he gets an awareness, man. If I'm sitting in a loo, in such kind of open space, so there is very clear a recognition of how big this issue is and why as a society we need to take care of open defecation.
What's been the feedback to that? I mean, after this has been rolled out, I get the people are made aware of it.
This is an awareness campaign.
So
just to make people, city sleek guys, who never understand what, how tough, how embarrassing open defecation is. To make people realize what a big issue it is, and why our Prime Minister Modi has picked this up, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, as a central theme of making a substantive difference to our country. Yeah, there is a very clear linkages also between open defecation and malnutrition. So this is at the heart of making India healthy, making India prosperous, creating a better living conditions for our countrymen.
And I believe this is also going to be placed at the Global Citizen Initiative that you've partnered.
We are absolutely pleased that we are partners to the Global Citizen Initiative that's coming to Mumbai. It's happening really now. And this is a social action program. And again, like it stems from, I would believe, the power of current generation of youth. Yeah, is to give them a sense of purpose to alleviate some big problems facing the mankind. Yeah, and in a country like India, I think WASH is such a big agenda.
Yes.
And if we can galvanize the youth, if they can play a part in it, I think our journey will become much faster in reaching our destination.
Mr. Mehta, there is another aspect of a person called as a Swachhata Doot that is used in he or she in the rural areas, helps to take the message of Swachhata, cleanliness to the people. Just your thoughts on that, what's happening on the ground there?
We are extremely pleased with our Swachhata Doot initiative. You know, this started with, if you're aware that most of our factories are in rural areas, yeah, and our employees are not only proud of the initiatives which HUL has, but very importantly, they want to be part of this journey.
Yeah.
They want to be engaged. They want to go and do good to the society, and that's how this Swachhata Doot started. And the whole concept, we have a Prabhat initiative, which is making a significant difference to the communities around our factory in rural India. And Swachhata Doot started by making our factory workers ambassadors.
Okay.
So they go to the community, and we have empowered them by giving them training toolkits on the mobile.
Okay, right.
So they go to the villages, they gather the people around them, using mobile and the training toolkits that we have provided, they work on changing the behavior of the community. Just think of it. We have so many youth in the country, we have so many factories in the country. If the Swachhata Doot concept could be rolled out across the country, so many millions of ambassadors we will have to augment the initiative of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan.
And since this movement of the Swachh Doot and your other campaigns are also pan-India, any anecdotes or examples that you might have of, because although we are one country, we are so diverse from east to west, from north to south, because every area has its own behavioral trends. Just some thoughts on how maybe the message to the locals might have to be tweaked as it goes across the country.
Oh, absolutely. That's the reason we also, in our business, we had this initiative of winning in many Indias. Because India is not a homogeneous country. Is the cultural norms are different, behaviors are different. And also one has to understand that there is a very clear linkage between the habits that we are wanting to inculcate and the education of people. Higher the literacy, higher the education level, higher the hygiene, personal hygiene standards, which is very visible. And this is also very visible from the evolution of different categories in the country.
Right.
Yeah. So more focus has to be paid very clearly in areas where the literacy levels are low. And where the hygiene standards consequently are much lower. And that's what we have been doing. For instance, this year, our major thrust on hand washing has been in the state of Bihar.
Okay.
Yeah, and where we are reaching millions of people together with SIF, Children's Investment Fund.
Right.
And the whole idea was that's where the focus ought to be, because that's where we will be able to make a big difference.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mehta, for talking to us, and here's hoping for a cleaner, hygienic, healthier India.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.